Hello everyone, Farah Hanoun here, and I'm joined by Andy Main, who takes on Saul Almeida at LFA 49 on September 14th. Andy, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, I'm doing good, thank you. A big fight coming up for you, but it's been a while since we've last seen you in action due to injuries and just taking time off. But just describe to me what the layoff was like and how you're feeling now.
Yeah, well, I'm really pumped to be back to it. The layoff was necessary, basically. I had a couple of surgeries shortly after I won the pancreas title. Tried to get back to it a little bit too early. Didn't feel I performed the way I know how to perform in my last fight. So I just decided it was best to take a little bit of time to let my body really heal, get in shape the right way, and then come back when I was, actually fit and feel that I can perform the way that I know I can perform.
And yeah, I was gonna ask you, why did you decide that now is the right time to come back? Was it watching your teammates compete that gave you the itch to come back, or was this just the time that you were offered the opportunity? How did you end up with the Saul Almeida fight?
It was a combination. I was actually I part of my training is with the Tiger Schulmann's professional team, and I was training with Shane Burgos, Julio Arce. But in particular, I was helping Mike Trezano, who's recently won this season of the Ultimate Fighter. I was his primary sparring partner for his last fight, and I've been doing good, and I kind of was feeling like I was going to take a fight pretty soon. But getting him ready for that fight, he was in really, really good shape, and I was really able to get in there and push him. And I felt like, if I'm going with the best guys that are out there right now and being able to, give them what they need and really, be right in there with them that I should be ready to get back in the cage. So I started to put feelers out there. I got a new management company, and they started reaching out. And it just so happened that LFA was one of the ones I had suggested. I said, I really like LFA as an organization. I think it's a step up from, some of the other more regional promotions. It was that or going back out to Asia. I had fought for pancreas, and I was thinking about going back out there. But, it just so happened that LFA was having their first show in New Jersey, in Atlantic City. I hadn't fought in Atlantic City in a long time. And so it was literally within a couple of weeks that I started looking for a fight, and they offered me Saul Almeida. And, I looked him up, and I've seen him come up on the scene. He's a tough guy, well-rounded, experienced, and just like a lot of my other previous opponents. And I'm excited for the matchup. I'm excited to fight another veteran and to just get my foot in the door with LFA, and I think it's gonna be fun.
Absolutely, and like you said, a fellow veteran that's also fought top level competition like yourself. What do you make of him as an opponent? How would you break down his skill set?
I'm sorry, you broke up just for a second there. Break down what?
Yeah, sure. I said, how what do you make of him as an opponent? How would you break down his skill set?
Yeah, he is. I think he's a well-rounded fighter. He competes a lot. He's got a lot of fights, and he's somebody that like I have to be smart with. I think his strength. I think is his grappling. But I'm no stranger to the ground, and I'm really comfortable anywhere it goes. But like I think he's a guy that you just can't make mistakes with. If I go in there and lean on my fundamentals, both on the feet and on the ground and wrestling and everything, that I feel that I should be able to control the fight pretty much anywhere it goes. But that being said, like I said, I know he's been in there with some of the toughest guys all around the world. He's been fought internationally as well. Like, he's no stranger to adversity. So I have to be on point the whole fight, and that's what I plan to do. And I think that if I do that, not only can I control him, but I think that I can get the finish before the end of the third round as well.
And are you currently training full time at Tiger Schulmann's? I mean, like I said, it's a fantastic gym full of top level fighters: Jim Rivera, Mike Trezano, Julio Arce, Shane Burgos. The list goes on. What's it like getting to train over there with such high caliber fighters?
Yeah, it's excellent. I mean, I do train there. I train there more than anywhere else right now. But I do train some other places. I like to mix it up. I also train at Jim Miller and Dan Miller's gym. Jim Miller is one of my longtime training partners, and I have my own gym. So I have a lot of very high level grapplers in particular, and just high level guys in general that come in and train here. So I do get a lot of cross training at other places. But yeah, I've been spending most of my time up at Tiger. And right now, as far as 145 pounds, I mean, there's not many rooms out there that are as tough as that room. These guys are just super good. It's kind of like becoming more and more well known, obviously, as more of their guys get into the UFC. But like being on the East Coast, I've known about these guys forever. I fought Jimmy Rivera in my very first amateur fight. Yeah. So, like we came up on the scene together. So being able to be a part of their team over the last few years and really develop my striking in particular, but just well-roundedness, has been awesome. And then there's, like I said, when you get in there with guys that are really at the top of the game, consistently, and you can hold your own, where you stand, instructor there. So, a grappling instructor. So if that doesn't say, that should say something about my grappling level as well, So it's been a really beneficial opportunity to be able to be a part of that team. Tiger Schulmann himself is really an excellent coach, and Ray, one of the boxing coaches. The whole thing has been a positive experience, and I think and I've been doing that over the past few years. Even though I've been taking a layoff, I've in no way have I been on the couch. I've been training and getting better and just focusing on being a better fighter. So I'm thinking that's going to show next Friday.
For sure. And you mentioned your own personal gym. I mean, you own multiple businesses, a gym, acai shops. How important is it for you to be doing things outside the cage? I mean, did it help that you could have taken that layoff without struggling? Because we know what fighter pay is like and what the business is like. The fact that you've got businesses of your own, is that what allowed you to take that time off but also be effective?
Yeah, absolutely. It's drastically important. I think one of the biggest mistakes fighters make, and everybody's journey is different. And I understand the whole dedicate your whole life to something and that whole thing. But at the same time, I'm married. I had a longtime girlfriend who I'm married to. And, I wanted to be able to support myself outside of fighting in case it didn't work. And, not for nothing, I have world champion grapplers. I have fighters that have been, at the top of the UFC that ask me for jobs, having that ability, having that comfort, being comfortable to say, hey, you know what, I'm not gonna be out on my ass if this doesn't work out, or in a situation like that. I think it was, the first time I had to take a layoff from fighting earlier in my career. Was the wake up call. I said, wow, I was 21 years old right out of the Ultimate Fighter, and then I got sick and I couldn't fight for 8 months. And it was whoa, this could happen at any point and I could have nothing tomorrow. So I need to build something now. It's a chance. It's, I'm young. I have the opportunities and I have the ability to take risks that I might not be able to take 10 years from now if I have kids or anything like that. So I think it's drastically important. It gives you a certain level of being comfortable with being able to do those things. And it also allows me, a lot of people think it's distracting. They're like, oh, isn't it distracting having to manage so many things? And for me, it's not, because it takes so much of the pressure off. I don't have to worry, I don't have to take fights that I don't think make sense for me just because of a paycheck. I take fights that make sense, and then the paycheck is a bonus for me. So I can be more strategic with where I fight, when I fight, what I want to do. So that's, I think overall that has been, it's been a drastically important part of my life. And thank God I did it, because, I had, multiple year and a half, 2-year layoffs. And I don't know what I would have been doing. I would have been going and getting a 9-to-5, and, I don't have a degree, so I wouldn't have been doing very well with that, I don't think. So, but anyway, I'm very happy that I went that route.
And because now you're coming back in your own accord, right? It's not a matter of pressure. You're coming back because you love what you do, and you're doing it for the right reasons. Because a lot of times people feel the need to fight 4 times in the span of I don't know how long, and they're doing it because they're feeling pressured and not motivated for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have any pressure in terms of any of that. You fight when you want to fight, and I don't, and at the end of the day, I don't have to fight. And it's interesting, like having nothing to lose is also an advantage. You take pressure off yourself when you fight, and in my opinion, when you can take that pressure off, some people perform better under pressure. Some people perform better without pressure. I like to go into a fight like it's nothing special. Like, hey, I'm just getting into a cage and I'm sparring with somebody just like I spar on Sundays, and that's when I perform best. So like knowing that, like, that there's nothing to lose, it allows me to be just comfortable and loose and just go for it. And it's when I fight my best, and I really think that's how it's going to be for the rest of my career.
Absolutely.
And I'm still young. I'm still only 29 years old. Like it's not like I did all this, took this time off. I started fighting professionally when I was 19 years old. I've been fighting for a decade, and I'm only 29 years old. I could do this for another decade if I want to, but we'll see. For me, I imagine myself fighting for another 6 years, maybe. Who knows? Maybe less, maybe more. But I have that option to do really to take it or leave it at any point. My goal is just to fight the best in the world and see if I can stack up.
And since you've been out for a while, have you been mapping out what you'd like to do next after this fight? I know you're not going to overlook Almeida, but did you sign a multiple fight deal with LFA, or is it just this one fight? How does it work?
At this point, look, like being that I'm a former king of Pancrase and the Ultimate Fighter experience, like I don't get easy fights. I don't look for easy fights. It's just, like I understand I'm not going to get that. Being strategic with matchups is definitely like, I look at somebody like Almeida, and like I said, he's well-rounded, but his strength is also my strength. And I personally think I'm better at it. And I think I'm better at other parts of the game, So yeah, I analyze opponents and I'm not going to, like at this stage, there's a certain stage, like, look, if you're fighting for a title, you fight whoever the champion is, but getting back into it, I offered it. Just so happened that Saul was the first opponent they offered me. And I thought it was a reasonable enough matchup. He's a tough guy. He's experienced. He's got a little bit of a name. As far as regional fighters go, and it made sense for me. Now, is there fighters out there that maybe I would have said no to coming back on my first fight? Yeah, definitely. Because, if some guy's surging on a 10-0, knocking everybody out or whatever, not that I don't think I can beat that person, but coming off a 2-year layout, does it make sense? Like, hey, let me get my feet wet again with somebody who's, kind of like me, and then build from there. I don't think that there's anything cowardice about that. I'm not saying I won't fight that guy. I will definitely fight that guy. I just want to make sure that, I do it the right way. So, but, who knows? It just depends on the opportunity and it depends on the fighter. But each fight I do analyze. I take a look at them with my team and decide, hey, do we think this is a reasonable matchup? And then let's go for it.
I see. And you were on The Ultimate Fighter years ago, only 21 years old. I'm sure a very valuable experience, but would you say your goal is to get back to the UFC? Do you think about that at all?
I do. At this stage, I think for me, to be in the right mental space, I'm doing it one fight at a time. I want to just go out there and focus on Saul. Like I said, I know he's experienced. I know he's well-rounded. I know he's dangerous if you don't fight properly. So I have to focus on him. My goal is always to fight, to test myself, and I want to fight the best guys in the world and make the most out of my career. So if that's the UFC, that's the UFC. Like I would love to be there because that's where a lot of the best fighters are, and I want those opportunities. However, for me, fighting in Japan and going to be able to challenge some of the best Japanese fighters in Pancrase and winning the Pancrase title, which I believe is one of the most well-renowned belts in MMA, especially internationally. Like that was as special to me as being able to fight in the UFC and stuff like that. So right now, I would say that I'm doing it one fight at a time. I'm not trying to like say I'm gonna go out and do this and do that because tomorrow somebody could offer me something different that just makes sense to me. But I said in the grand scheme, I think that definitely fighting for the UFC is where I would love to be. I think it's where I belong because I think that's where the best fighters are, and I think I'm right up there with any one of them at 145 pounds. So short answer is yes. Long answer is it depends on the situation. I'm doing it one fight at a time.
Absolutely. And all right, Andy, one last thing, and I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
How do you envision this fight with Almeida going down? How do you get the job done?
You know what? I pride myself on being a well-rounded fighter. I pride myself on being a fluid fighter, and meaning that like I kind of roll with the punches, and I like to stand with people. I like to test myself with their stand-up. But like I said, you guys know I'm no stranger to the ground and taking somebody down or whatever. If it ends up in a grappling exchange, I'm gonna just react. I'm a very a fighter. Like I have a game plan. I have an idea of how I think I'm going to win. But for me, it's just about being better, being a half step ahead all the time, and then making that one step and two steps, and then ultimately finishing the fight. Like I said, I think I'm gonna put him away before that third round or before the end of the third round. But I'm gonna be strategic about it. I'm gonna try to be sharp, make as little mistakes as possible, and just ultimately try to dominate from bell to bell.
All right, there you have it. You can catch Andy Main on September 14th live on Access TV when he takes on Saul Almeida at LFA 49. Andy, thank you so much for your time and best of luck next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.